Hi, you're welcome back. Do you have to sit and watch your child fly into continuous temper tantrums? Or maybe you have to listen to their heartbreaking feelings of inadequacy? Or are you worried about your child's behaviour in general? Well, this morning we're joined by parent mentor Sheila O'Malley, who's an expert in a new approach to parenting that can create a calmer, happier home. It sounds like a wonderful invention. Does it work, and what is it?
Yeah, well, I mean, I certainly think, I think we're looking at self-esteem, isn't that it?
Yeah.
And really what we're saying is it's so important, I suppose, to build our children up rather than break them down. And the self-esteem is really how children feel about themselves. And you want to make sure that they feel good about themselves, Aidan.
How can you keep an eye on that and checking that on a regular basis? Because if you can give a child confidence...
Yes.
The world is literally their oyster, to use the cliche.
Absolutely, there's no doubt about it. So much of the time we get caught up in their behaviour, and the reality is some of the time, or a lot of the time, the behaviour is simply a cry for help. So really what we try to do is just make sure you interact positively on a regular basis, making sure the child feels loved, valued, and that makes them feel secure, and it just builds the confidence.
So it's not a question really of going around telling them you love them every few minutes. It's a question of maybe showing them a little bit of love and maybe teaching and instilling confidence in how to do things. Basically start with maybe household chores,
yes,
home exercise as they come through. And I think two-way conversations are very important.
Definitely. What you're saying there is the whole one-on-one, isn't that it? Time with the child. I think time with the child, more than anything else. The truth is, so much of the time parents nowadays are really busy doing with their kids. We're running around in the car, nearly camped out in the car, so many places to go, so many activities. But in fact, it's the time you spend with the child more than anything else that makes the child feel loved and valued.
Yeah. Now here's sort of the bomb left of field, as they say. Sometimes children just exasperate you. You've had a hard day in the office or whatever. They're just being bold, possibly for the sake of wanting attention. Maybe some children are just nasty.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that? You have to scold, or you have to punish, or you have to give out.
Yeah.
And sometimes you lose the temper.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think it's so much of the time our parental responses. And I think we're going to do a whole session on challenging behaviours, because the reality is it's not straightforward. But the one thing I would say, if you want an easy or quick answer on it, is just as a parent, try and separate that behaviour from the child, and try and just model good behaviours yourself. So in other words, if they're losing it, don't lose it.
Yeah. And
try and really bring them down and stay calm.
Yeah, it is difficult.
Make eye contact, call them by their name, and speak very clearly. When you calm down, I can talk to you.
What about this idea of a cooling off room or a bold step?
Yeah,
that other mentoring.
I have to admit, I don't agree with it.
Okay.
I think it just makes a child feel bad about themselves. The reality is, some of the time, what they want more than anything else is just a cuddle.
Really?
I think a lot of the time,
The self-esteem issue, that seems to be the core.
Yes.
So if you've got low self-esteem as a parent, the chances are you will probably pass it on to your children.
Well, okay, it's true to say that, you can't give what you haven't got. But that's not to say you can't change your self-esteem.
Yeah.
And we can all change your self-esteem, by just looking at how we interact with ourselves on a daily basis. So, I was saying to you before we started, Barack Obama is somebody who has a very solid sense of themselves.
Yeah.
But Barack Obama is a man who I read it on the treadmill at 4:30 in the morning. Not that we want to be on the treadmill at 4:30 in the morning, but he does look after himself physically.
Yeah.
In terms of their cooking their own vegetables out in the garden, they obviously have a good diet. You see him out in restaurants with his wife. He has a good social life. He has enduring good relationships. These are all indicators of high self-esteem. So I think that's what we have to do for ourselves. Treat ourselves, be good to ourselves, and try and just have a good, affirming relationship with ourselves. And then when you do that, actually, that's what you do for your children.
Okay, so one follows on from the other.
Yeah.
So let's take the breakdown of self, physical self, emotional self, and intellectual self. Tell me a little bit about each.
Well, as I said, the physical one is,
taking care of yourself.
Yeah, do you have a good diet, and do you go out and go for a walk, versus someone who doesn't do either? Do you rush and race, never say no, never ask for help? Or are you a person who values yourself and you say, this is what I can do and this is what I'm just simply not able to do? All of these things are indications of how you value yourself. So you're either on the positive side or on the negative side, but that's not to say you can't move across, recognising what it is you need to do for yourself. Certainly, I think socially, just to see yourself as I'm special, I'm unique, and affirm that to yourself. You know, as opposed to someone who says, my book club's on tonight, I won't bother going, nobody would even miss me. You know, would be somebody who would not have a good sense of themselves.
Right,
Isn't that true enough?
Yeah.
And I think in all the other ways, you know, undertaking challenge, and as I said earlier, treating yourself, and just ensuring that on a daily basis you're just interacting with yourself in a positive way. You're building yourself up, not breaking yourself down.
How do you explain to children they can't have something? Depending, I suppose, on what age they are. Say, you know, young children.
It does depend on the age, yeah. I think for very young children, you know, distraction sometimes is more than enough.
Yeah.
But I think very often what you need to do is say it, mean it, and do it. Because
even though it comes back to haunt me, the phrase, it hurts me more than it hurts you.
Yeah, I know. I heard that too.
We're in a strange period of time now whereby, up until a few years ago, children got everything.
Yes.
I mean, they didn't know anything about what wasn't available.
Yeah.
Because money was plentiful to most people.
Yes, absolutely.
And holidays were easily available. Now we're in different times.
Yeah.
So how much of that should you tell your children?
I certainly don't think...
Without frightening them.
Yeah, that's it. You don't want to frighten them. You don't want to give them, you know, you don't want to make them feel anxious and worry.
Yeah.
But I think at the same time, it's okay to be real with children. And I think more than anything else, to be real with your children. In other words, to have a real, authentic relationship with them. And they accept that. And they see it. And yet you're not passing your problems on to them, you know, that you can't pay your tax bill or whatever. I think it's just to have a good communication with them.
And what about then people who are busy, two parents working, they don't have enough time with their children? How do you make up for that? Or can you make up for that?
Well, you see, they say that it's not actually the amount of time that you spend with the child, it's really how you spend it. And I know that when I take off one of my children, we call it for a one-on-one, there's no doubt you don't need a lot of time. But if you just spend a little bit of time with them, you find out where they're at, how they're doing, how the friends are, you know, are they in good form, are things going well? But most of all, you're sending a message across, which is, you know, I value you and you're important in my life and I really like spending time with you. And I think the one thing that I would say if you want to elevate self-esteem is to do that for your children.
Now, you run courses and you have one starting next Monday. It's in Dublin.
Right. It's in Dublin, Aidan. It's an evening course in Mount Marion in the community centre at 7:30, and I have a couple of spaces left on that if people are interested. It's five weeks, and then in addition I'm doing workshops in Bewley's. I have 2 this month on self-esteem, the key to your child's future, and that's from 10
and how can people enrol?
Oh yeah, if they get in contact with me, they can check out the website. It's www.practicalparenting.ie.
Practicalparenting.ie.
And I think you're going to put it up on your TV3 website.
We've probably done that already, and it'll be on our own website. Sheila, thanks very much for joining us.
Not at all, thank you.
Indeed.